that
Yeah.
information turns to communication, right? So because I have the right information, now I can communicate my wants, my needs, my desires, whether it's with my partner, with my healthcare professionals, with my
Mhm.
coaches. Because, like I think I said to you before, one of my famous things that I love to tell people is the longest relationship you will ever have is with yourself. So if you do not know how to communicate with yourself, that's where I get to come in and really help give you the tools to be able to take that pause, listen, understand your body, feel the feelings, and ask for what you want and for what you need because you deserve
Yeah.
it.
Hey, beautiful. Welcome back to PCOS Unfiltered. I'm your host, Lindsay, and today's episode is one that I think is going to land on a very deep level because we're talking about something that doesn't get talked about nearly enough, and that's the connection between PCOS, your body, and your relationship with intimacy, desire, and self-worth. Today, I'm joined by Tammy Lynn Edwards, a board-certified clinical sexologist and intimacy coach who has over 18 years of experience helping women reconnect with their bodies in a way that feels safe, empowering, and completely shame-free. But what makes this conversation so powerful is her story. Tammy Lynn was diagnosed with PCOS at just 15 years old, navigating years of confusion, pain, dismissal, and major medical decisions without truly being given the full picture of what was happening in her body. And like so many of you listening, she was left trying to figure it out on her own. In this episode, we go way beyond the surface and talk about how PCOS can impact not just your physical health, but your relationship with your body and sexuality, the emotional toll of feeling dismissed, misunderstood, or broken, why so many women struggle with desire, arousal, and body confidence, and what's actually happening underneath that, the importance of learning your body, advocating for yourself, and using the right language to communicate what you're experiencing, and one of the biggest themes of all, why you are not broken and never were. This conversation is honest, raw, and incredibly empowering, and it's going to help you see your body in a completely different way. As a reminder, the content shared on PCOS Unfiltered is for informational and educational purposes only. The views and opinions expressed by the host and guests are not intended to serve as medical advice. Always consult with a qualified healthcare professional before making any changes to your diet, exercise, or treatment plan. The information shared is based on personal experience and expert interviews and is not a substitute for professional medical guidance. Now let's get into it. Here's my conversation with Tammy Lynn Edwards.
Now,
Right.
I think you mentioned that you did see like a Chinese like herbalist or something at
Yes.
some point in your journey too.
Yes. So I think it was after I had after I had the partial hysterectomy. So probably about 5 or 6 years later, I was having a lot of pain. And again, when you understand the structure of your body and so on and so forth, and knowing that they kept my ovaries, I
Mhm.
knew that the only difference is I just wouldn't have a period, but I would still have my ovaries. I'm still releasing, I'm still producing, I'm still all of those things. So they were the size of grapefruits. I was in excruciating pain. It seemed like, and I don't want to say it seemed like all the time, but when I think about it now, I think I suffered through it so much that I didn't realize that I was in so much pain because it was so constant.
Mhm.
And I didn't want to be the complainer. I didn't, you know what I mean? Like I didn't want to keep going, keep going, keep going. And you keep just giving me another pain medication. No, like I actually want to fix, like
Mhm.
stop sending me, don't stop prescribing stuff to me in hopes that it's going to work. Can we find that, like, can we figure something out? So when I went to my family doctor, who's a GP, which I learned, GP means a general practitioner. This is all they do.
Mhm.
Their whole purpose for being is to have you come in, present a problem. They're then going to refer, which is how they make their money, refer you to a specialist in whatever realm of that problem. So he continuously kept wanting to give me pills, pain pills, and I'm like, that's not going to work. So I went for an ultrasound, and I had gone to see a Chinese naturopath. And again, I've always been very upfront and very honest. And I had gone back to my family doctor, and he said, don't tell me exactly what you're doing, because it doesn't fall in line with, again, their box that they're supposed to stay in. However, what I will do is, I can't tell you what not to do with your body, but what I will do is we'll do the ultrasound now, come back in 3 months and let me know. So we did. So I was taking this Chinese tea. Please do not ask what was in it. I have no idea. All I knew is I went to see a Chinese naturopath and I was like, here's what I'm experiencing. I'm just in a lot of pain and I don't want to take pain medication. What do I do? And there's 3 Chinese naturopaths who, again, came up with this concoction of tea, of different herbs and things like that. And I'm not saying go do that, but what I am saying, for me, it worked. So the cysts on my ovaries went from the size of grapefruits. I think there was like 2 or 3 of them that disappeared. The rest of them got down to like the size of golf balls, or like the little red plums. And I didn't have any pain, right? And how I knew that it was working is because, like I said, my doctor did the ultrasound. I started doing the tea. And then I went back, because again, you don't want to keep taking all this wild and crazy stuff if it's not going to work, right? Number one. Number two, if I really don't know how to pronounce the blah, 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 tea ingredient, right? Like it's not just honey. You know what I mean? Like if I don't know how to pronounce these things, they do, but I'm not, I'm not there. I just also wanted to make sure that in order for me to be healthy, and go for a walk with my kids, and you know what I mean? So when I did go back and we got the ultrasound, and we could visibly see that some had disappeared, some had just shrunk. I kept taking the tea.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then from there, I only ended up going back to see my family physician, basically for my my transvaginal ultrasounds and my mammogram. So I only went back to see him once a year, because again, thank goodness, I have not had any pain for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Am I still drinking the tea? No, but I also, oh yeah. And actually I should probably remember this too. So I remember I went to go see an endocrinologist, and his suggestion to me was no citrus, no acid, and no bottom feeders.
Oh, great.
And I was like, and I really didn't understand. Oh, and then he also said no exotic fruit. So he didn't give me the full on explanation, other than the exotic fruit, because it already has high in natural sugar, because I didn't go into like, I'm now diabetic, but having that much sugar in your body, it could convert. So I think for probably almost 20 years, I never had any exotic, like I never had oranges. I never had limes. Nothing for almost 20 years. And then with the bottom feeders, I really was like, bottom feeders. He was like, shrimp, crab, anything that sits on the bottom of the ocean or the bottom of the sea, because they literally eat garbage, is literally what he said to me. And like I said, sometimes when I go back and I think about some of the things that some of these doctors have said to me, I really would love to be able to make an appointment and go back. Go back now and be like, so would you like to change those statements? Because let me just tell you. And again, doing gastric bypass, it was a huge struggle for me. More so because the dietitian is like, here's the foods. And because I was already eating healthy, but I hadn't had citrus, acid, exotic fruit, bottom feed. There's so many foods that I did not eat at all whatsoever. And when I think about it, I didn't lose any weight. I didn't even maintain my weight. Right? So when I did gastric, and I had to meet with the dietitian, that was my biggest struggle for getting the surgery approved, was the dietitian, because I argued with her back and forth. I was like, I've been told by an endocrinologist that I cannot have any of these things. So it was a huge learning curve for me to understand the benefits of some of those foods, moderation in some of those foods, and that I could actually have a mango if I wanted a mango, that I could have a pineapple if I wanted pineapple, that I should actually be eating an orange, and that shrimp, the protein in shrimp is actually a benefit. You know what I mean? So it was a huge, huge learning curve, because like we talked earlier, you have the GP who sends you to a specialist who sometimes they really actually, though they have the title specialist, but when was the last time you actually read one of the research papers or actually did any of the work required to now tell somebody not to eat these things?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Like it literally blows my mind.
Yeah. I mean, and yeah, because along with that, when they go to medical school, it's like, I don't even know. I've heard, 3 hours. I've heard
Yes.
maybe like 3 days, out of what, eight plus years, a lot of
Yes.
the
Yep.
times of
And
training.
yep. Mm-hmm.
And it's
And it
like they
depends
get,
on which school you go to. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And they get like nutrition training. And I say that lightly because a lot of times it's okay, well, if they have this condition, this is what they should be eating, and
Yes. Yeah.
it's like some blanket thing. It's not,
Yep.
yeah.
Oh yeah. I
know.
learned the hard way.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and I think too, that kind of goes back to what you're saying about, like listening to your body, listening to exactly, where you're feeling it and all that. But I talk about that a lot of the times too, but, keep track of it for a few days and like, where you're feeling it in your body, what were you experiencing, especially
Yeah.
when it comes to something around food, what effects did you notice like after you had X, Y, and Z food? There might be a group, but like to just blanket, like cut out a lot of things, especially things that can give you a lot of those nutrients, like you said, protein,
Yes.
all that stuff, just all those vitamins and minerals too that are
Yeah.
in a lot of those fruits
Mm-hmm.
is crazy.
Yes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
When you were mentioning, because I just want you to maybe explain a little bit, if you can, how the doctor said that your like fat receptors were like shut off. Like, how
Yeah.
did he kind of like
Because
determine that or describe that to you?
so first and foremost, this is what the way he explained it is first and foremost. So because we were using Ozempic, and this is again back when Ozempic was only used for specific people, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could just go online to a pharmacy and let's this is what we're going to grab. But what we did is because we did it for a full 3 months, and we had already been tracking all of my other things prior to, right? So, and I was eating, I think by then I was eating 6 times a day. Again, just smaller portions, but I was actually eating 6 times a day. And I was doing the same site every single time, the whole 9 yards. And what we did is I actually did tape measure as well as a scale.
Yeah.
Just because
Perfect.
I feel like, again, a lot of times we get on the scale and because our brain is programmed to my height, my weight, they say I'm supposed to be this. We are so fixated on a number that we don't realize that weight shifts.
Yeah. Yeah. I tell people to take pictures too. Like definitely the measurements are great, but even just take some pictures because a lot of times they're going to notice things,
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So, what we noticed is I didn't actually lose anything. I actually gained. So, and the way he explained it is in some people's bodies, it's the way, and I can't remember the different types of fat, but the different types of fat that are in your body. And so because I had, and it wasn't that I gained an exorbitant amount of weight, but I think it was like 246 and I had gone up to 248 in 3 months. Food was exactly the same. The only difference is now I was eating smaller portions of the same foods. I was sleeping. I was going for exercise. So I was doing all of the things, but somehow or another, even with the consistent activity, I was still doing all of the things. My body just was not responding to any stimuli at all whatsoever. And he explained it, he was like, it's kind of like, and I can't remember the actual terminology, but the way I look at it is kind of like your, because my son has ADHD. So it kind of reminds me of kind of like that. The ADHD kid, well, at least mine anyways, he has all of this energy He can not eat all day long, and he will gorge at like 10 or 11 o'clock at night and eat 2 or 3 huge meals. His metabolism, and he's still this big and he's 31, but his metabolism, it literally is going through it. So it's actually fueling that. Mine didn't have any. It did nothing, like literally nothing at all whatsoever. Where what it should be doing is kind of waking up that metabolism to kind of be like, hello, you want to use the fat from the food that she's eating. You want to use the protein to fuel. It did nothing, literally at all. Whereas when you take a drug, something like similar to that, that is what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to turn on that metabolism to start using the food for fuel. My body was not doing that, like at all. My body was like, yeah, so she just stuck me. Okay, and what's next? You know what I mean? It was kind of like my body was like, yeah, okay, well, yeah,
What's
that's
next?
not going to work. Yeah, like, sorry, what's next? Yeah.
Yeah. No, and that's good too. And I'm glad that you're sharing that too, because, like you said, all of these GLP-1s, weight loss drugs, whatever you want to say, but they're also readily available, easily accessible now.
Which is very scary to me.
Yeah. And I've actually done an episode recently with someone where we talk about, sure, like they're great, as a tool, as a bridge, like however you want to use it, if you're doing all the things with it, and so for you gave it a try. You were doing all the things. It didn't work, and for some people, I think when they get on it, they think that's going to be the fix. That's going to be, it. And so I think also knowing that it may not work for everybody.
And being okay with that. You know what I mean?
Yes,
I think that is the other thing is having a realistic expectation of your body, number one. And you are on your own personal journey. Other people are along for the ride, but this is my journey. The same thing, we talked about this too briefly. I know, and I have met a good number of people who have all had gastric bypass for multiple different reasons, but even the nurses and the doctors have asked me, what did I do? What did I do differently than other people? Because I didn't lose my hair. I didn't have the overabundance of excess skin. I didn't, and I've maintained my weight. A lot of those things. First and foremost, it's a personalized experience, number one. Number two, I truly and honestly believe that because of my hormonal imbalances prior to, and the lifestyle that I had already been living, this is the reason why it has been my tool, literally a tool. It is a lifestyle change. That yes, I do not drink alcohol. I do know that if I want gummy worms, we're in problem land, right? But you know what I mean? But all of those things, people truly need to understand that you're not broken. You are not a project that needs to be fixed. This is a journey, and the process of that journey a lot of times is to teach us something about ourselves, and whether that is self-confidence, learning how to encourage yourself, learning how to ask for help. As women, we don't do that. And I feel like this journey with PCOS, encompasses all of those things. And when we stop focusing on the outcome, the journey becomes a little smoother. I don't want to say it's easy. I really don't, because I don't think that that's the design. And I also feel like for anybody who says, well, we could reverse, okay, listen, I'm a little skeptical of all of those things. I'm kind of a believer of learning your body, what you and your body needs, and having a goal. Is it, do you want to be healthy? Is it, do you want, like, what is it that you ultimately want for your life? And then you add your body to that.
As we kind of start wrapping up, I do want you to talk about what you're doing now.
Oh, okay. So what I will say is, again, like I said, so this has been like a wonderful, like 35-year journey with my PCOS. However, in between that time, in my 20s, especially after the partial hysterectomy, because I was so young, I wasn't educated at what happens to your lady bits, what happens to your vulva when, and your sex drive, when you really don't actually understand what's happening. Lubrication, vaginal dryness, irritability, all of these things that I never experienced before were starting to happen. And it's not like I had some education on it. And it's not like when somebody has a major surgery, they have a consultation with the doctor. They have all these conversations.
Mm-hmm.
When you have a partial hysterectomy, it's almost like oh, well, you must know because you're a woman. No, I have no idea. I didn't know. But that's also kind of when I went down this rabbit hole of understanding what my hormones did for me. And in that time, I wanted to have good sex. I was still young. I wanted to have good sex, but I also needed to understand that just because I didn't have a uterus didn't mean that I wasn't a woman. Right. Because I think there's some people who go through that battle within themselves. And I'm grateful that I never had a partner in my life who felt that way, but I felt that way because the vaginal lubrication it wasn't there, and I didn't, you know what I mean? So I had kind of fallen down a rabbit hole of, conversations, and one of my friends had asked, if you could do anything in the world, what do you want to do? And I was like, I want to stand on stages and talk about sex and intimacy and how to have really good orgasms. And my friend's like, where did that come from? I don't know, but that's what I want to do. Which then took me down this wonderful, wonderful path of researching different career paths. And because I'm in Canada, in order to be a sexologist, you have to go and get a master's, you have to go get a PhD or social work. And I was like, I don't want to be a doctor. Like, I have no desire to diagnose anybody with anything at all whatsoever. And I'm too much of an empath to be a therapist. Like, I will cry with you. This is a really bad idea. So I really, really, really started kind of down that path. And I think this year will be 20 years. I have been in homes, women's homes and living rooms and conference centers across the US and Canada, teaching about sexual health and wellness using toys and how to, the best lubrications, the best arousal gels and creams. And over that time, I found that not only was I learning about my own body, but the women that I was talking to all had the same story, like you mentioned. When you look at PCOS as a whole, though the symptoms are very, very different and extremely vast, but the experiences are very similar and almost mimic one another based on not even just where you are in the country, where you are in the world. It's generally around the same, right? So I just found, again, in that journey, I met a lot of women who all had the same desires, the same questions, the same curiosity, or the biggest one, the same misconceptions about their bodies and desire and arousal. And why is my body doing this? How can my body do this? And then finally, in my late 40s, I met somebody who's a Canadian. And she introduced me to a program. And she's like, just so you know, you're going to have to apply. It is a master's level. They are taking Canadians. So I applied, and I am now, mind you, it's been a very interesting couple of years, obviously, because you're in your, mid to late 40s, learning that you're also perimenopausal. So the brain fog, the memory loss, all of those things while you're doing, right? Like while you're doing a master's level program in clinical sexology, in conjunction with being a sex coach. So that's what I do now. And the majority of the people that I see now are perimenopausal, menopausal women and couples, because I see, not even just for myself, but a lot of women that I've seen over the years. Again, like I said, they all have the same questions. but the amount of miseducation, and it's not even just lack of, because there is education out there, but it's the miseducation and the misinformation. And I truly and honestly believe, had I not educated myself, I would not be where I am right now. And I feel like every single woman on the planet deserves that information in order for them to make informed choices for themselves. And the only way to possibly do that is for me to be the nerd that I am. And you know what I mean? And do the groundwork for that. So I offer one-to-one coachings and couple sessions, and then also a couple ebooks. This spring, I'm actually launching a full program that people can actually take either online or in person, because I truly and honestly believe that, again, like I said, if you don't have the information, you feel almost lost. And that information turns to communication, right? So because I have the right information, now I can communicate my wants, my needs, my desires, whether it's with my partner, with my healthcare professionals, with my coaches. Because like I think I said to you before, one of my famous things that I love to tell people is the longest relationship you will ever have is with yourself. So if you do not know how to communicate with yourself, that's where I get to come in and really help give you the tools to be able to take that pause, listen, understand your body, feel the feelings, and ask for what you want and for what you need, because you deserve it. Yeah. So here I am. I'm so excited. I'm like, even when and it's crazy because as soon as I start talking, but I'm like, oh, the nerd in me, like, I'm not even kidding. Like literally the nerd in me, I'm like, oh, I'm just so ready to nerd out.
Yeah. Well, that's how you know you're passionate about it, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because I'm like, I truly believe this work found me. It's not like I said, I'm going to wake up one day and this is what I want to do. No, I already had kids. Like I already had a career. Okay. Like, no, that's not what happened at all.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a great way to end this. We might have to do another episode just more specific to, the sexual health stuff that you
yes,
that you
definitely.
teach. But last question is, how can anybody find you and connect with you? Of course, I'll link everything in the show notes, but
definitely.
How can they find you?
So my website, Sensuality Coach Clinic, and then of course I will make sure that I give you a link for an ebook to really kind of tap into your sensuality. Go ahead, check out the ebook. Then I've got a couple other things, definitely on TikTok, Coach Tammy Lynn, and then on Instagram. What am I on Instagram? Sensuality Coach Clinic. I'm like, I'm in all the places. I'm like, let me see where I can go. I'm like, because I feel like everybody needs to understand this and feel comfortable, right? So I'm in all the places. Yeah.
Yay. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing your story, for being here. I think so many women need to hear, everything you have to say. So I really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. And thank you.
If there's one message I hope you take away from today's episode, it's this: you are not broken. Not your hormones, not your body, not your desire. Nothing about you is something that needs to be fixed. What you've been missing is understanding. Understanding your body, understanding your patterns, understanding how your hormones, your nervous system, and your experiences have shaped the way you feel. And when you start to understand, everything begins to shift. I loved what Tammy Lynn shared about this being a journey, not something to rush, not something to hack, but something to actually experience. Because when you stop trying to force your body into someone else's version of health and start learning what your body needs, that's where confidence comes from. And that's where trust comes from. And honestly, that's where true intimacy begins. So maybe your next step isn't doing more. Maybe it's pausing, getting curious, and actually listening to what your body has been trying to tell you all along. Remember, your body isn't something to fight, it's something to reconnect with. If you loved this episode, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss what's coming up next. Share this with someone who needs to hear that they are not broken, and leave a review so more women can find these conversations. And as always, if you're ready to go deeper into understanding your body, your hormones, and your relationship with food and yourself, you can find all the ways to work with me in the show notes. I'm sending you so much love, and I'll see you on the next episode of PCOS Unfiltered. Nourish, Heal, Thrive.